Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. GH spoilers. Carly and Jack have been on the back burner, but his devious plan persists. General Hospital spoilers reveal while Carly Spencer's Laura Wright budding romance with Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, has been on the back burner. Her head-over-heels interest in the charming WSB operative is growing hotter as the summer season quickly approaches. Yet Jack is keeping a bombshell from Carly. Her daughter, Jocelyn Joss Jacks, Eden McCoy, is working for him as a WSB agent, a role he coerced her into to monitor Henry Hank Dalton's Daniel Goddard tech project. As Carly dives deeper into Jack's allure, oblivious to his manipulation, his scheme burns bright, threatening to explode. Will Jack's lie about Joss shatter their spark, or can he keep Carly in the dark while his plan unfolds? Carly is falling hard for Jack. Carly's chemistry with Jack has her smitten. A welcome distraction from the custody battle, her son just won after weeks of stress preempting it. She may think she trusts him now, but will that last? Jack's charm, honed as a WSB mastermind, keeps Carly hooked, but his silence about Joss' recruitment, forced under threat of exposure, looms large. Unearthing that truth would come with a painful dose of reality about Joss' role in killing Cyrus Renault, Jeff Kober, and how Jack cleaned it up just to force her compliance in his proposal to become an undercover spy, changing the arc of her life and relationships forever. If Carly senses his secrecy, will her heart override her instincts or start to unravel his facade? Jack's scheme keeps Joss trapped. Jack's manipulation of Joss, leveraging her skills to infiltrate Dalton's AI project, possibly tied to Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda, is a high-stakes gamble. Joss, fully aware that her mother is falling for her boss, operates in secret, with only Vaughn, Bryce Durfee, in the know. Jack's refusal to tell Carly, even as their romance deepens, risks a devastating fallout. If Joss slips, or Emma Scorpio Drake's, Braden Bruner, own mysterious secrets intersect, Jack's lie could blow up. Will he maintain control, or will Carly's wrath undo him? A romance teetering on lies. Carly's deepening feelings for Jack clash with his calculated deception, setting the stage for a potential explosion. If she learns Joss is a WSB agent, her fury could torch their romance. It would be a shame, given that the fans have fallen for McKenna's version of Jack in ways they never thought possible after Charles Mazur exited the role on the hit Sudzer. Can Carly's head-over-heels love for Jack survive his lie about Joss, or will his burning WSB scheme reduce their spark to ashes when the truth ignites? Keep checking back with us for more GH news and spoilers to see how this shakes out for everyone involved. GH spoilers. Carly and Jack have been on the back burner, but his devious plan persists. Prologue. For months, the Port Charles spotlight had been occupied by mob wars, medical miracles, and courtroom chaos. And through it all, Carly Spencer had stepped back, publicly. She'd refocused on her hotel, her children, and tried to stay clear of old entanglements. But beneath her cool, measured exterior burned a storm she didn't dare show. And Jack Finnegan? No one had seen much of him lately either. His return to Port Charles had been quiet. Too quiet. Many thought he had moved on, disappeared, or perhaps lost interest in whatever twisted game he had once started. They were wrong, because Jack had a plan, and it was still very much alive. Chapter 1. A cold reunion. Carly walked briskly across the Metro Court lobby, dressed for business but distracted. The coffee in her hand had gone cold, yet she hadn't noticed. "Miss Spencer," said the concierge, stopping her just before the elevator. "Someone left this for you. No name. A black envelope. No handwriting. Just her name, typed on a label." She opened it instinctively, a chill crawling down her spine. Inside was a single photo, her and Sonny, sitting close at Kelly's from months ago. Under it, a typed message. How long can secrets stay buried before they dig themselves out? No signature. But Carly didn't need one. Jack was back. Chapter 2. Shadows at the Metro Court. At that exact moment, Jack Finnegan was seated at a corner table in the Metro Court restaurant, sipping bourbon like a man with all the time in the world. Dressed in charcoal black with a silver cufflink glinting under the dim light, he looked like any polished businessman, if you ignored the slight smirk and the eyes that never stopped watching. He had spent months laying low, quietly investing in a shell corporation, slowly buying up shares of smaller Port Charles businesses. He now had leverage in places Carly hadn't even realized were vulnerable. Let her play hotel manager, he whispered to himself. She won't see the knife coming until it's at her throat. Chapter 3. Jason's Warning. Later that evening, Carly found herself face to face with Jason Morgan, the one person she could still trust without hesitation. "He's back," she said. "Jack sent me a photo of Sonny and me." Jason frowned. "What does he want?" "That's the problem. I think he wants everything. Power, revenge, and me." Jason leaned against the bar. "If Jack's stirring again, there's a reason. He doesn't act without purpose. He's not after Sonny," Carly said, voice low. "He's after me. And he doesn't care who gets hurt in the crossfire." Chapter 4. The Devious Web. Jack's plan wasn't simply emotional sabotage. He'd recently acquired controlling interest in a tech company that handled surveillance systems, including the Metro Courts. He had eyes everywhere. More importantly, he had dirt. Old Metro Court files, video footage, and payment records that could spin 1,000 dangerous stories. One of them involved Carly funneling hush money to an ex-employee who had nearly exposed mob connections through the hotel. It had been covered up. Until now. Jack smiled as he read the files again. "It only takes one crack," he muttered, "and the whole dam breaks." Chapter 5. Carly Strikes First. Carly wasn't a woman to be cornered. She played too many games, survived too many schemes. She called in her own quiet army. Spinelli, Diane, even Brick. "I need everything we've got on Jack Finnegan," she told Diane. "All of it. Legal. Illegal. I don't care." Diane arched a brow. "He's not exactly sloppy. You sure you want to poke this bear?" Carly's eyes narrowed. "He already poked me." That same night, she confronted Jack in his suite at the Metro Court. He was expecting her. "I knew you wouldn't stay quiet," he said. "Cut the games, Jack." "What do you want?" He poured her a drink. "Truth. I want to own you. Not just the hotel, Carly. You. Your mind. Your secrets. I want the town to crumble around you, and I want you to come to me when there's no one left." She didn't flinch. "You'll never get that," she said. He smiled. "We'll see." Chapter 6. Pressure Points. Jack knew where to hit her hardest. He began with Jocelyn. A tip to a college tabloid about her involvement with Dex and the Corinthos mob nearly ruined her academic standing. Carly scrambled to get ahead of it. Next came Michael. An anonymous email forwarded to the SEC claimed falsified tax documents on a merger deal. Diane was already preparing defense strategies. Even Drew Kane wasn't spared. His private charity accounts were hacked and funds were rerouted to offshore accounts in his name. Jack wasn't attacking Carly directly. He was attacking her world. Chapter 7. Jason's Countermove. Jason went off-grid for 48 hours. When he returned, he had something. "Jack's working with someone in Pentonville," Jason said. "An old associate of Victor Cassadine's. He's been feeding Jack intel from inside." Carly's stomach dropped. "Is this about me? Or about the Cassadines?" Jason hesitated. Maybe both. They now understood. Jack wasn't just acting alone. His devious plan was tied to something deeper. Legacy revenge. A shadow war dating back to Helena Cassadine, with Carly as the collateral damage. Chapter 8. Turning the Tables. Spinelli cracked into Jack's corporate shell, and what he found was gold. Turns out, Jack had falsified his citizenship paperwork years ago. His wealth was built on fraud. Carly now had leverage. She confronted him in front of reporters at a Metro Court charity gala. "Tell them, Jack," she said. "Tell them how your first fortune was built on illegal oil trades in the Balkans, or how you used my hotel's cameras to spy on every guest, every deal, every crime." The room went dead quiet. Jack didn't blink. Instead, he turned to the cameras. "You want to talk truth, Carly? Let's start with the time you hid a gun under a grieving widow's hospital bed, or when you lied in court to protect your mob family. I've got it all. And suddenly, the power shifted again. Chapter 9. The Ultimate Gamble. That night, Carly made a decision she rarely made, to walk into danger alone. She visited Jack's penthouse, unarmed. "I'm tired," she said. "You win. I'm not fighting anymore." Jack tilted his head. "You expect me to believe that?" Carly stepped closer. "No, I expect you to want it." She kissed him. It wasn't romantic. It was tactical. A distraction. Because as Jack returned the kiss, hungry for victory, Jason and Brick slipped into the building and raided Jack's private server. By morning, they had enough evidence to ruin him. Chapter 10. Jack's Fall and Rise. Jack was arrested on corporate espionage and data theft charges. His mugshot was splashed across Port Charles News. But he didn't look broken. He smiled for the cameras. Jason knew what that meant. He's not finished. Carly stood in the shadows of the courthouse, watching him be led away. "You think you won?" He called over his shoulder. "I'm just the first wave." Epilogue. Embers and Ashes. Weeks later, life in Port Charles resumed its chaotic rhythm. Carly returned to her routines, but nothing felt the same. Because the scars of Jack's plan lingered, and deep down she knew he'd be back. Because men like Jack Finnegan don't lose. They reload. The first time Carly saw Jack, she didn't like him. It was one of those damp, gray March afternoons in Chicago when the sky looked like concrete and everything felt colder than it should. She was waiting in line at the coffee shop near her office, clutching her coat close, watching the slow-moving baristas and judging every person ahead of her for ordering complicated drinks. Then came Jack. He barged in like a gust of misplaced summer. Tall, sharp-eyed, smiled just a little too charming to trust. He asked if she was in line, didn't wait for her answer, and ordered a large black coffee and a cinnamon roll, with extra icing please. His voice was calm but assured, like he expected the world to lean slightly in his favor. Carly rolled her eyes. "Must be nice," she muttered under her breath. He turned slightly, that lopsided grin already forming. "Excuse me?" "Nothing," she said quickly, not meeting his eyes. But something shifted in that moment, an invisible thread tying them, however loosely. And in the weeks that followed, that thread pulled tighter. A familiar stranger. Jack started showing up more often. Or maybe Carly just started noticing him more. The coffee shop became their accidental meeting ground. He was always wearing something that looked like it belonged in an LL Bean catalog. Flannel shirts, worn boots, a soft brown leather jacket with elbow creases like stories lived in. Carly was always in something dark, tailored, efficient. She worked in finance. She didn't have time for cinnamon rolls or slow smiles. "Still judging my coffee order?" Jack asked one Tuesday morning, sliding into the spot behind her. "Only the cinnamon roll," Carly replied without looking up from her phone. "You should try it. Might sweeten that icy exterior." She looked up then just to glare, but instead she laughed. He was impossible, but not in the bad way, she realized. Jack wasn't like the men she dated. Buttoned up, spreadsheet-obsessed types who texted thinking of you between conference calls. Jack noticed things. He held the door for strangers. He remembered names. And when he smiled at her, it didn't feel like a tactic. It felt like sunlight in the middle of a snowstorm. The softening. It started with a walk. She left work late on a Friday, another endless week behind her, and ran into Jack outside the coffee shop. He was just sitting there, sipping his usual coffee, watching the traffic pass like it mattered. Somehow, within minutes, she was walking next to him, letting him lead her to the lakefront. "Why do you always go to the same coffee shop?" she asked him. "Habit," he said. "And maybe hope. Hope. That I'd see you again." Carly flushed, but he didn't press. He was like that, throwing out comments that felt bold, but never trapping her with them. She liked that he never tried to impress her. He didn't talk about himself unless she asked. And when she did, he spoke like he had nothing to prove. She learned that he'd worked in outdoor education for years, that he taught kids to kayak and hike and survive the woods with nothing but a compass and some granola bars, that he once lived in a cabin for 6 months without cell service, that he only moved to the city because his sister was sick and needed help with her kids. Jack was a kind of man Carly didn't think existed anymore. Someone who didn't measure success by bank accounts or social media likes. He didn't pretend life was perfect. He didn't pretend he was. That scared her more than she'd admit. Falling is not a plan. By May, they were meeting by accident, almost every morning. Sometimes they sat on the bench outside the shop. Sometimes they walked together to her office, parting ways at the revolving doors. He never asked for more than that, and that's how Carly knew she was falling. It wasn't in the dramatic way she'd expected love to come. No sweeping gestures or late-night texts that made her heart race. It was the quiet moments, the way Jack listened, the way he waited, the way he said her name like he meant it. But falling wasn't part of Carly's plan. She'd been burned before, more than once. The last guy, Dylan, had checked all the boxes. Smart, driven, ambitious. And yet, he cheated on her with someone from work. Someone who, as he claimed, just understood him better. Carly had told herself she was done after that. No more messy emotions. No more unpredictable types. She would date responsibly, practically, like choosing a reliable car or a good investment fund. And yet, here was Jack. No boxes checked. No promises made. But somehow, he was everything. The first real crack. It was a Sunday when she broke. They were sitting on the grass at Lincoln Park, sharing a container of strawberries Jack had brought. She was laughing about something. She couldn't remember what now. And then he reached over and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Just that, a simple touch. But it undid her. She froze. The laughter died on her lips. She stood up too quickly. "I should go," she said, brushing grass from her jeans. "Carly," Jack started, rising too. "This was nice. I think we're maybe getting a little too comfortable." Jack looked confused. "I don't understand. I mean this, us. Whatever this is, it's not. I'm not looking for anything serious." He studied her for a moment, and then nodded slowly. "Okay," he said, "if that's what you want." But it wasn't. That night, she cried in her apartment for 2 hours. The space between. They didn't see each other for 2 weeks. Carly tried to convince herself it was for the best. She poured herself into work, scheduled back-to-back meetings, rejoined a book club she hated. But none of it filled the ache in her chest. She missed Jack's calm, his jokes, his Kinnaman roll addiction. She missed how he made her feel, not just wanted, but seen. One night, she sat in bed rereading old texts from him, stopping on one he'd sent after a particularly rough day. "Hey, remember, even storms run out of rain. Want to grab coffee tomorrow?" She'd never answered it. But now she whispered those words aloud. Even storms run out of rain. A risk worth taking. The next morning, she showed up at the coffee shop before work. Her heart thudded in her chest like it was made of glass. Jack wasn't there. She waited anyway. He walked in 20 minutes later, looking just as surprised as she felt nervous. "Hey," she said, standing. "Hey." They just looked at each other for a moment. The shop fell away. The noise, the lines, the world gone. "I was stupid," Carly blurted, "and scared. And I pushed you away because I thought it was safer. But it's not. Being without you feels worse than anything I was afraid of." Jack smiled softly. "You don't have to say all that here." "I want to," she said. "I'm tired of pretending I don't feel what I feel. I'm falling for you, Jack. I think I already fell." He stepped forward and took her hand, his thumb brushing the back of it gently. "I've been falling since the first cinnamon roll," he said. She laughed. A real one this time. And then, finally, she kissed him. Right there, between the espresso machine and the pastry case. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't showy. It was just honest. And that was all they needed. After the fall, falling didn't solve everything. Carly still had her fears. Jack still had his gentle chaos. But now they had something else. each other. They took it slow. They spent Sundays making pancakes in her kitchen. They hiked in Wisconsin. They met each other's friends, learned each other's rhythms. Carly began to dream of things she'd once written off: weekend road trips, shared closets, maybe even a dog. Love, she realized, wasn't a thunderclap. It was a sunrise, slow, warm, undeniable. It filled the corners of her life like light through open blinds. And with Jack, every day felt just a little bit brighter. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid of it, because she was no longer falling. She was choosing.